What is going on YouTube? It's your boy NevinTheBarber, and in today's YouTube tutorial I'm going to be covering a low taper fade for beginners. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and set in my first guideline with the trimmers, followed by no guard lever all the way open on my clippers. And these are the Gamma Saber 2.0 clippers right here. They did just drop last month, and if you guys want to check them out, feel free to use my discount code Nevin10 on the Gamma website. So after I got the 0.5 guideline set, I went ahead and used my 1.5 guard all the way closed, followed by some clipper over comb. And now I'm going to blend out that middle guideline using the half guard all the way open. And this is blending the 0.5 into the 1.5 right here. So this is a very simplified system. Essentially all I'm really doing is putting in my guidelines going up, and then I'm coming back down and erasing each one. And with the half guard, this is really what's gonna make your tapers and your fades pop out and give it that blurred effect. So you guys want to be very careful when using this guard right here, ensuring that you don't take it too high. Like I said, your main focus is really just blending out that middle guideline. And I really just like to use the corner of my blade whenever using this fading system that I've created right here. I've used tons of different fading systems, and this one is by far the fastest and the easiest system that I've come across. So before erasing the last guideline, I'm going to go ahead and line up my client's hairline. And the reason that I do this is just to create more contrast and make the hairline pop out more. That way I don't fade out any of the seed cups that doesn't need to be taken out. And every time I line up my client's hairline, I always like to start off with the C-cups and the vertical bars. That way I just have to come back and get a nice clean crispy line on the front of my client's forehead. And I do have these trimmers right here, zero gapped. As you guys can see, the hair is coming off really easy. And these are the metal Gamma Instinct trimmers right here. Again, if you guys want to check them out and save some money, y'all can use my discount code Nevin10 on the Gamma website, and I will be sure to include the links in the description for you guys. And just like that, I was able to give my client a nice clean crispy edge up with the trimmers. And now all I have to do is come back with the clippers to erase that last guideline. So with no guard lever all the way closed, I'm going to begin flicking out that last guideline, blending the skin into the stubble. And little by little, I'm just going to start opening my lever one notch at a time while opening my cutting stroke to flick out any last dark areas that I see. And you guys can already see how the taper is starting to come together. And I really like this fading system right here because you guys won't find yourself struggling throughout the fade, pushing it too high or too low. Your fade will need to be exactly where it needs to be as long as you guys space out your guidelines correctly. And right here, I'm just cleaning up the flyaways behind my client's ear. That way, when I move on to the back taper on my client's nape area, everything is nice and lined up. And if there is any specific tutorials you guys would like to see on my channel, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will get them out for you guys. So now that we have the left side of the taper complete, I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact steps on the right side of my client's head. So first I'll go ahead and set in that initial guideline using my Gamma Instinct trimmers, followed by no guard lever all the way open. And I'm giving myself about an inch space for each guideline. So I have my skin, my 0.5, and now my 1.5. And I'm doing clipper over comb to blend up into the parietal ridge area. And the reason why I leave the 1.5 guard on is so that I don't cut off any hair that doesn't need to be taken off. And this will prevent you guys from using the number 2 guard, the 3 guard, and the 4 guard. I only use 2 guards in my fading system. So now all I have to do is come back with the half guard to erase that middle guideline. And the half guard all the way open is equivalent to a number 1. And I'll just gradually start closing that lever 1 notch at a time while shortening my cutting stroke. And as I mentioned before, you guys are just trying to attack that middle guideline whenever using the half guard. And every time you guys close that lever, just make sure to shorten your cutting stroke, because the hair is going to be getting cut at a little bit more of a shorter length. And little by little, you guys can see how that guideline slowly just starts to fade away and blend up into the 1.5. So now that I have that step complete, I'll go ahead and apply some holding spray and begin lining up my client's C-cups as well as his vertical bars. And this is really what's gonna make your taper pop out right here, which is why I mentioned that I like to line up the hairline before removing that last guideline. It almost looks as if the hairline is enhanced when there really is no enhancements on it. And now I just have to come back, working my way from the middle of my client's forehead to the left side and cleaning up the vertical bars. And same thing behind my client's ear. I'll line up all those flyaways before erasing that last guideline, just to give it that extra pop. And if you guys haven't tried out this technique, feel free to try it out and let me know what you guys think about it in the comments after you do so. I do appreciate all the feedback that I get on my channel. And finally, with no guard lever all the way closed, I'll just begin flicking out that last guideline. And just like that, you guys can see how that taper is starting to come together and look nice and blurry. And now I'll just have to come back with my Gamma Instinct shaver and shave all that stubble down to the skin, just to make the taper pop even more. And my client did have some light corners, so I went ahead and used my black enhancement pencil to make his corners pop out and give the illusion of more of a fuller hairline. And this is semi-permanent, which does mean that it will last 2 to 3 washes. And I actually prefer using these enhancement pencils over liquid enhancement. And the reason being is just because it looks a lot more natural to me personally. As you guys can see, it almost looks like hair fibers. And I'm just going back over the hairline one more time, making sure that all the hairs are cut exactly where they need to be. And I do have these trimmers right here, zero gapped, as I mentioned before. I always recommend that you guys use a zero gapped trimmer whenever doing the lineups. That way they'll look as sharp as possible, and you'll just have to come back with the razor to clean everything up. And one more time, just putting in some detail work on that taper. I always like to go back and detail my work. And finally, I just have to taper out the nape area on my client, and the taper will be complete. My client didn't want to cut anything off the top since he was trying to grow out his hair. But for the back, on the nape taper, I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact steps, using my trimmers first, and then no guard lever all the way open, followed by the 1.5 guard all the way closed. And I personally like to blend out the 0.5 guideline until the end, just because, like I said, you guys won't find yourself pushing your fade too high, and you'll be able to keep the blend exactly where it needs to be. And doing some clipper over comb right here, followed by the half guard all the way open. And just pay attention to the growth pattern of your client's hair whenever you guys begin fading out, just because sometimes they may have cowlicks or hair growing out in different directions. So just pay attention to how the hair is growing out of the scalp, and that'll make a very big difference on how you guys approach the haircut. And finally, with no guard lever all the way closed, I'll just begin flicking out that last guideline. And you guys can see how the taper is starting to come together. And I'll just gradually open the lever as needed to flick out any last dark areas that I see. So now that I got the taper complete, on the sides and the back of my client. I'm just gonna go ahead and use my razor just to clean everything up and make his hairline pop that much more. And this is my NevinTheBarber razor. If any of you guys are interested in purchasing one, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram and I will get you guys squared away, since I haven't launched my website for them yet. And same thing right here with my NevinTheBarber shears. And here's the before and there's the after for you guys. If y'all learned anything in this tutorial, please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in today. It's been your boy NevinTheBarber, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.